Hello and welcome back to my video on the comma rules for the ACT. So in this video I will be discussing the third and fourth rules that you must know, and let's resume with the third rule. So the third rule is using commas with a coordinate conjunction or a fanboys. If you've never heard of fanboys, they are just coordinate conjunctions. It's an acronym to help you remember all of the words. It stands for and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Okay, so you should use a comma with a coordinate conjunction or a fanboys when you're joining two ICs. So an IC stands for independent clause, which in other words is just a complete sentence. It has a subject and a verb, and it expresses a complete thought and can therefore stand on its own. So what you want to do is use a comma when you are joining two of these complete sentences or two ICs. So you should have the structure IC, CC, IC. Okay, the CC in this case is the coordinate conjunction or the fanboys. So for example, we have Emily likes to play with stuffed animals. There's our first IC. Subject is Emily and the verb is likes. And then we have a comma with the coordinate conjunction and then we have Jenny likes to play with Barbie dolls. In this case, we have a subject over here, Jenny, and then the verb likes, which follows this structure right over here. Okay, let's take a look at another example. So here we have, I went to the convenience store and bought some chips. In this case, we have and, but we don't use a comma before the coordinate conjunction or the fanboys. And let me explain why. So the first part before the coordinate conjunction, we have I went to the convenience store, which has a subject and it has a verb. So we know that this is an IC, and then we have comma, CC, but then over here we have bought some chips. In this case, we do not have an IC following the coordinate conjunction. So because we're not joining two ICs together, we cannot use a comma before the coordinate conjunction. So this sentence is actually grammatically correct without the comma over here. It's a little bit different if you're expressing contrast. Here we have I like cakes but not ice cream. So we're making a contrast between cakes and ice cream. So I like cakes over here, that's an IC. It's an independent clause. We have the subject I and the verb like. And then we have but not ice cream. Not ice cream, of course, is not an IC, right? But we still use a comma with the coordinate conjunction or fanboys only because it is expressing contrast. Let's take a look at the fourth and final rule for using commas on the ACT. So the fourth rule is using commas to set off a non-defining relative clause, which just means additional information. So what we want to do with the commas is to separate the information that is not necessary for the point of the sentence. So let's take a look at an example. Here we have Paris, the capital city of France, is a popular tourist attraction. Since the point of the sentence is that Paris is a popular tourist attraction, the information that Paris is the capital city of France is actually additional. So what we would do to separate this additional information is just surround it with commas. Because we know that this is additional information, that means the sentence should make perfect sense if you were to delete this clause from the sentence. So without it, it would be Paris is a popular tourist attraction, which makes perfect sense. Let's take a look at another example. Here we have people who do not like horror movies won't enjoy watching The Grudge. So in this case, again, we see two commas that are surrounding a clause. We see the first one over here and the second one over here. So to check to see whether or not this clause should be surrounded by commas, we would just simply take it out and read the sentence without it. So it would be people won't enjoy watching The Grudge. In this case, if we remove this clause, we would be losing necessary information. So we know that we should not have these two commas because it cannot be separated from the sentence. Alright, let's take a look at one last example. Here we have the store clerk, although fluent in English, did not understand the customer's request. So Right away, what I'm going to do is try to see whether or not these two commas are separating the correct information. So we know that when we have two commas separating a clause, it means that it is additional information. In other words, it can be removed from the sentence. So let's try it and see if it makes sense. So we would read the whole sentence as the store clerk did not understand the customer's request. Since that makes sense without the commas, I know right away that option A is correct without even looking at the other options. But let's go through B, C, and D anyways to see what's wrong with these other options. Okay, so in option B, I've just rewritten it down here. We have a couple commas, one here, another one here, and another one here. So it's not really clear what the additional information is. So whenever you have to doubt or it makes it more confusing with the comma there, it's probably not the correct answer. The ACT always wants the simplest answer, and we know that B is not the simplest answer. So we can eliminate option B. In option C, we have a comma before the word fluent and a comma again after the word English. So that means we are separating this information over here. To see if this is correct, then what we would do is just eliminate it and read the sentence without it. So it would be the store clerk, although did not understand the customer's request. Since that doesn't make sense, we can go ahead and eliminate option C as well. Okay, let's look at option D. Option D just has one comma, separating no information, so the sentence would be the store clerk, although fluent in English, did not understand the customer's request. We have a different error in option D because in option D we actually create a separation between the subject and the verb, which does not happen with the commas. So therefore option D is incorrect, and we know for sure that option A is the correct answer.